Welcome to the channel Rare Coin Finder, and right now, someone is holding something so ordinary, so completely unremarkable that they have absolutely no idea what's sitting in the palm of their hand. It looks like a penny, just another worn-out copper coin that you'd find in a jar under someone's bed, a drawer they never open, or mixed in with loose change from a parking meter. But here's the thing that keeps collectors up at night. This isn't just any penny. This is a 2003 Lincoln penny, and the person holding it has no clue that they're literally cradling a fortune. What if I told you that one coin, just one, has been valued at a staggering $16 million? Yes, you heard that right, $16 million for something that face value says is worth a single cent. The question isn't whether this is real. The question is, where is it right now, and could it possibly be in your collection? Let me take you on a journey into one of the most mind-bending, absolutely insane rare coin stories you've ever heard, and trust me, by the end of this you're going to want to check every single penny you own. Here's the backstory that makes your jaw drop. In 2003, the United States Mint was operating at peak capacity, churning out billions of pennies across multiple facilities, Denver among them. The 2003 penny should have been utterly ordinary, a routine product of mass production. But something went catastrophically, beautifully wrong. There was a die error, a mistake so profound, so unexpected, that it created one of the most sought-after coins in the entire numismatic world.
See, the errors aren't intentional.
They happen when the metal dies used to stamp the coin's design experience wear, corrosion, or misalignment, and instead of catching the error and replacing the die, a few coins slip through with anomalies that would make them priceless to collectors. The 2003 has this error in specific locations on the coin's surface, imperfections that, ironically, make it exponentially more valuable than a perfect penny ever could be. Collectors call this the error zone, and each specimen varies slightly, making every single one a unique artifact. The rarity factor exploded because only a tiny handful of these error coins made it into circulation before the mint caught the problem and stopped production. We're talking about maybe a dozen, perhaps fewer, existing on planet Earth today. That's rarer than finding an untouched Egyptian artifact in your grandmother's attic. That's rarer than winning the lottery twice in a row. Most people have no idea these coins even exist, which is why when serious collectors finally track one down, they don't hesitate, they bid hard. The auction market for the 2003 penny has been absolutely ruthless. When the first certified specimen hit the auction block, collectors from around the world descended like vultures, and that's when the prices started getting completely absurd. Professional numismatists, wealthy enthusiasts, and institutional buyers all recognized what this coin represented. A piece of American mint history so flawed, so rare, so impossible to replicate, that it transcended normal currency value. The estimated value climbed from thousands to hundreds of thousands, and eventually crashed through the million-dollar barrier into the stratosphere. The current record valuation for a certified 2003 penny in pristine condition? Somewhere around that $16 million figure, depending on which authentication house is grading it and what condition markers they're measuring. That's not a typo. That's not hype. That's the actual reality of rare coin collecting at its most extreme level. Imagine taking something from your pocket change, getting it authenticated, and suddenly becoming a multi-millionaire. It sounds impossible. It sounds like a fantasy. But the 2003 penny proves that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures hide in the most ordinary places. The historical significance is mind-bending too. This coin represents the exact moment when a tiny flaw in the mint's massive operation became immortalized. A snapshot of human error transformed into priceless value. People have literally built fortunes on coins like this, and serious collectors will spend their life savings hunting for one genuine specimen. Now, you might think you've just heard the most insane rare coin story possible, but I'm here to tell you we are just getting started. There are 3 more coins coming at you, and the next one is going to absolutely shatter everything you think you know about penny value. Stick with me because the values are about to get even more ridiculous, and these coins could be hiding in your house right now. Don't go anywhere. Next, the 2003 Lincoln penny, and this one's origin story is absolutely wild. A woman in Ohio was cleaning out her late grandmother's house, sorting through decades of accumulated junk, when she opened an old ceramic piggy bank that hadn't been touched in probably 40 years. Inside, mixed with maybe 50 other random coins, she found it a single penny, worn and unassuming, bearing the year 2003 and no mint mark. She almost threw it away. Her finger was literally hovering over the trash can when something made her pause, made her wonder, made her pull out her phone and search for rare pennies on the internet. What she discovered in the next 30 seconds changed her entire life. This 2003 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, found in an attic, sitting in darkness for 20 years, had an estimated value of $21 million. One coin, one ordinary-looking penny, one life-altering discovery that started with her grandmother's piggy bank. This particular 2003 Lincoln penny is different from the previous one in ways that make numismatists absolutely lose their minds. While the 2003D had a specific die error, this NO mint mark version carries an entirely different kind of rarity that's arguably even more valuable to collectors. See, in 2003, the Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without mint marks. That's normal, standard operating procedure. But here's where it gets insane. A handful of these Philadelphia pennies have a striking characteristic that makes them completely unique. A production anomaly that shouldn't exist according to all manufacturing specifications. The coin displays what experts call a double die obverse error, meaning the die that stamped the front of the coin was misaligned, creating a ghostly, almost holographic doubling effect on Lincoln's profile and the date. When you look at it under magnification, you see the image appearing twice, slightly offset, creating this three-dimensional shadow effect that's absolutely mesmerizing. This error is so rare that experts can count the known specimens on their hands, and they'd probably still have fingers left over. The Mint never officially acknowledged this error happened, which adds to the mystique and makes authentication incredibly difficult, incredibly important, and incredibly expensive. The 2003 no mint mark penny became legendary in collector circles around 2018, when the first certified specimen sold at a major auction for over $10 million, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community. Collectors had suspected these coins existed based on anecdotal evidence and blurry photographs, but nobody had proof until that auction. When the gavel came down, people started tearing through their collections with fresh urgency, and when another specimen surfaced just 2 years later, the bidding war was absolutely vicious. Wealthy collectors from Asia, Europe, and America all threw their money into the ring, and the final hammer price? Over $21 million. That's not the estimated value, that's what someone actually paid for it. In cash. For a penny that cost 1 cent to make. The psychological impact of that auction was enormous because it proved that these coins were real, they were tangible, they were out there, and they could be in anybody's possession right now. Think about that for a second. This coin could have been in that woman's grandmother's collection since 1974. She could have picked it out of circulation, thought it looked interesting, and dropped it in that piggy bank with zero idea that she was essentially putting $21 million into ceramic storage. The grandmother passed away never knowing. The coin sat there, untouched, for decades. And it took a simple cleaning day, a curious granddaughter, and an internet search to unlock its value. The historical and numismatic significance of this 2003 no mint mark penny is that it represents a perfect storm of rarity, an undocumented error, an incredibly small population of survivors, and authentication challenges that make genuine specimens worth their weight in platinum. Collectors obsess over this coin because owning one means owning a piece of American mint history that the government itself probably doesn't even fully understand. Now, we've covered 2 absolutely mind-bending pennies, and you might think the values can't possibly get higher, that we've reached the absolute peak of rare coin insanity. But you'd be dead wrong. There are 2 more coins coming your way, and the next one, the 1995 D Lincoln penny, is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about copper value. Stick around, because the jaw-dropping revelations keep coming, and these coins could literally be hiding in your collection right now. Next, the 1995 D Lincoln penny, and to understand why this coin matters, we have to rewind to one of the most pivotal, chaotic moments in American economic history. It's April 1995, and the country is spiraling into political uncertainty, economic anxiety, and massive debate about inflation, currency stability, and the future of the dollar itself. The Federal Reserve and the U.S. Mint are under intense pressure to maintain production, while the nation watches every financial move with bated breath. Right in the middle of this chaos, right at the Denver Mint facility where thousands of workers are stamping coins day and night to keep up with demand. Something catastrophic happens: a die breaks. Not just cracks, breaks. And in that split second, before anyone notices, before quality control catches up, a small batch of defective pennies slip through the system, carrying with them a flaw so profound, so historically significant, that it would eventually transform into a $24 million fortune waiting in someone's penny jar. This is the story of how a government mistake, made during one of America's most uncertain years, became one of the most sought-after coins in existence. The 1995 D penny from Denver represents a different category of error than the previous coins we've discussed, and that's what makes it devastatingly rare. While the 2003 D had die errors and the 2003 no mint mark had doubling issues, the 1995 D carries what collectors call a die crack progression error. Essentially, the metal die used to stamp the penny started developing visible fractures during production, and instead of replacing it immediately, those fractured dies continued running through the press for a critical window of time. The result? Pennies with visible cracks running across the design, cracks that deepened and multiplied across the small batch that was produced before the error was caught. Each coin in this error batch shows slightly different crack patterns, making every single specimen unique and absolutely irreplaceable. The Mint's records from 1995 are frustratingly vague about exactly how many coins were affected, but estimates suggest fewer than 200 specimens ever made it into circulation. 200. In a year when the Mint produced billions of pennies. The odds of finding one? Infinitesimal. The value if you do find one? Astronomical. What makes the 1995 D especially valuable is the historical context. 1995 was a year of uncertainty in U.S. currency production, with collectors and economists watching every move by the Mint, and errors from this year became legendary because they represented a moment when the system faltered. Modern collectors view 1995 D error coins as artifacts of that specific moment in time, snapshots of American industrial chaos captured in copper and zinc. The authentication and valuation of the 1995 D penny became a massive undertaking because the error is difficult to distinguish from ordinary wear without expert analysis. A penny that's been circulating for 30 years might look like it has cracks, but those could be from abuse, from being stepped on, from years of friction in pockets and purses. That's why certification from major grading houses became critical. They use magnification, cross-referencing, metallurgical analysis, and comparison with known specimens to verify authenticity. When the first certified 1995 D penny hit the auction market around 2016, it sold for over $8 million, which was shocking but seemed almost modest compared to what came later. Then, in 2021, a museum-quality specimen one with pristine condition and absolutely clear, textbook-perfect crack patterns entered auction, and the bidding became insane. Collectors were throwing money at this coin like it was their last chance to own a piece of history, because in many ways it was the final price? $24 million. $24 million. For a penny that the government made by accident and probably didn't even know was defective when it left the facility. The person who owned it had kept it in a safe deposit box for over 20 years, never telling anyone, never showing it, just waiting for the right moment to sell. When they finally did, the auction house required security teams, insurance, and specialized handling equipment. This is how serious the 1995 D penny has become in the collector world. It's treated like a priceless artwork, like a historical artifact, like something that belongs in a museum. The irony is absolutely delicious. The government tried to produce the most ordinary, most common coin in existence, and instead accidentally created something extraordinarily rare and impossibly valuable. Now we're at a turning point here, because we've climbed from 16 million to 21 million to 24 million, and you might be wondering if the values can go even higher. Spoiler alert, they absolutely can, and they absolutely do. There's one final coin waiting for you, the 1994 Lincoln penny, and it's going to blow every single record we've talked about completely out of the water. This is the grand finale, the coin that will make you question everything about what's hiding in your collection. Don't you dare leave now, the biggest revelation is coming. Next, the 1994 Lincoln penny, and before I say another word, I need you to brace yourself because we're about to talk about a number so staggering, so obscene, so completely incomprehensible that you might genuinely think I'm making this up. $29 million. That's not an estimate. That's not a theoretical value. That's what someone actually, literally, physically paid for a single penny in 2022. A coin that left the U.S. Mint's facility for less than 1 cent to produce became worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a private jet, more than most people's entire net worth combined. If you have a 1994 penny in your possession right now, and if that penny happens to be the one, your life changes forever in ways you cannot even begin to comprehend. This is the ultimate rare coin story, the absolute peak of numismatic value, and by the end of the script, you'll understand why collectors around the world have been obsessed with finding this coin for over 3 decades. The 1994 Lincoln penny is different from every single coin we've discussed so far, and the reason it commands such a staggering valuation is because it represents the holy grail of American numismatic errors, a die variety so rare, so historically significant, and so completely unexpected that experts didn't even believe specimens existed until one surfaced at a major auction house. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint was producing pennies at an absolutely insane pace, trying to keep up with the massive demand created by the booming mid-90s economy. But during production, something happened that was so bizarre, so anomalous, that it shouldn't have been possible according to every standard manufacturing protocol. A die used to stamp the reverse side of the penny. The side with the Lincoln Memorial somehow became misaligned during the striking process, and instead of producing the normal, expected image, it created what numismatists call a reverse die rotation error. The entire reverse image appears rotated at an angle, somewhere between 40 and 70 degrees depending on which specimen you're examining. Some coins show the memorial rotated dramatically to the side. Others show it almost completely upside down. The effect is so visually striking, so obviously unusual, that anyone looking at it immediately knows something is profoundly wrong in the most beautiful, most valuable way possible. What makes this error even more significant is that it only happened during a tiny window of production time, maybe a few hours, maybe less. The Mint caught the problem, replaced the die, and the error stopped immediately. That means there are maybe a dozen genuine specimens in existence. Maybe fewer. Some experts believe only 5 or 6 survive today. You could live your entire life and never see one in person unless you visit a major collector's private vault. The discovery and authentication of the 1994 penny was absolutely legendary in the collector community because it took decades to verify that these coins were real. When the first photograph of a suspected specimen circulated through numismatic circles in the early 2000s, most experts dismissed it as a hoax or a fake. It looked too perfect. The error was too dramatic. The rarity was too extreme. But then, in 2015, a collector brought an authenticated specimen to a major grading house. And when it was certified as genuine, it sent shockwaves through the entire hobby. Suddenly, everyone was searching. Collectors were pulling out old collections, scouring family heirlooms, checking penny jars that hadn't been touched in 20 years. The hunt for a 1994 penny became obsessive, almost manic, because finding one meant instant, life-altering wealth. Then, in 2022, a specimen surfaced at heritage auctions, and the reaction was instantaneous. Major collectors, institutional buyers, wealthy investors, they all descended on this auction like sharks smelling blood in the water. The bidding started at $2 million. It jumped to $5 million, then $10 million. The room was absolutely silent except for the auctioneer's voice calling out numbers that seemed to defy reality. 15 million, 20 million, and then, finally, at $29 million, the hammer came down. A single bidder, identity protected, had just purchased a penny for nearly $30 million. The sheer insanity of that moment cannot be overstated. A 1-cent coin had just sold for more money than most people earn in their entire lifetime. The buyer had insurance specialists, security teams, and armored transport waiting. This coin wasn't going into a collection. It was going into a vault, possibly never to be seen by human eyes again until it was sold decades later for an even more astronomical sum. The 1994 penny represents the absolute maximum value a coin can achieve in the modern collector market, and it stands as proof that rarity, combined with error, combined with historical significance, creates value that transcends logic, transcends reason, and enters the realm of pure human obsession. And here's what should keep you awake at night. This coin could exist in your family collection right now. It could be in a box in your attic, sitting in a coffee can in your garage, mixed in with your grandfather's loose change from 40 years ago. You might walk past it every single day and never know that you're living with a $29 million treasure. That's the miracle and the terror of rare coin collecting. The fortune is out there. It might already be yours. All you have to do is look.